afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible. So you've been in very interesting sessions and topics and points that have been shared. I'm sure a lot of you have been taking notes about these things. And don't forget to go and pin them up when you go back to work and it doesn't become like a day again and you forget all of these things. Now, when I was approached, what would you like to talk about, or what do you think would be creating a good impact when you could, if you were given this opportunity to speak? I thought of a point that has often struck me that, when I was obviously younger and sitting on the other side when somebody was giving a speech, a leader or somebody successful, accomplished, and if it was a lady and the question was asked, did you feel it to be different? Was your journey different? Or was it the same? I have always noticed the women giving a response as, I didn't find it different. They were trying to fit into the male world, right? And so far, with the kind of diversity, inclusion, topics, and policies that have been coming into the organizations, the world has certainly changed. Thank God for that, because I never was happy with that answer, because the journey is certainly different, and we have to accept it, we have to adjust to it, we have to figure it out. Like Kiran Bedi ma'am said in the morning, life is a project, home is a project, career is a project. You have to figure it out and manage it some way or the other. When I would go into any conference earlier, yes, there would be 200 men and maybe just 1 or 2 women in there. I would feel bad always. People say they wouldn't mind it because they never noticed the difference. But that's not right, because that's where we try to blend out the differences as well. The world is different for men and women. The policies are being changed. We spoke about statistics in all the organizations as well. People are looking at things beyond that, deeper, that okay, if you need to have somebody, if you have a promotion coming up, do you have some more women applying for that role as well? And it's not just the men folk who've applied for that role. So these questions are being asked in the organization today. So when you have this environment now, how do you make sure you stick around? How do you make sure you don't give up? Right? And there are myths which you've heard in many of the talks as well. And I'd simply like to share my journey so far and maybe some events and glimpses of that might resonate with you, because shared stories are the most powerful way of learning and reaching out, right? And the moment you hear, oh, you had the similar situation, it becomes an easier load for you to talk about it. So a little bit about me. So as I was introduced, I work at Wabtec. Wabtec is a legacy GE transportation organization, and we are into, it's a manufacturing organization. We are into building locomotives and components for locomotives and metros and Vande Bharat train components. And there is a whole lot of digitization that goes along with it. So there is an almost 1,600 plus engineering center that I am a part of. So this is a lot into nation building, and you will see through my journey that's been one of my passions as well. If ever I wasn't in a project or something which didn't make sense or did not have any kind of connection to the impact that I was making, I stepped away, because it would just not give me the kind of motivation and energy that I wanted. So through this, there's a lot of exciting journey ahead for a lot of our engineers, and then we continue to innovate, and a lot of R&D work is going on in this space as well. So this is my topic, but I'll just come back to that slide and to give you a few glimpses about myself. It's been about almost 27 years as a technocrat. I'm a technocrat. I'm an engineer at heart. I have done my computer science engineering. I rebelled against doing anything else but that. And I didn't have my parents who were very happy about it at that point in time. But even then, I think that streak kind of continued with me. When I started as an application developer, my journey was good. Like everything else, you kind of work on different projects. But I made sure whatever I did it really well. If anything came on my table, I performed really well. I was reliable, I was credible. Through my journey, it so happened that I got married to an army officer. That made my life even more complicated. That also was a rebellion streak in me when I got married to an army officer, because life was going to be even more difficult, almost as a single mother with 2 kids and a career that I was very clear in my head that I am not going to leave, and with my husband being away most of the time. That added to the fun and the challenges. What did I do to manage that phase? I survived. I just remained afloat. I wasn't looking for promotions. I made sure I had something exciting to do to keep my brain intellectually stimulated. If at any point in time there was something that was not exciting, picked up a topic on my own and did some development around it, created some kind of a program project around it, but made sure that I kept learning even if I was not getting promoted. During that time, I also built, like Kiran Bedi ma'am said, built in a lot of family support, even though it wasn't easy. It never is easy, right? But then you have to find the mechanics to do that. You will fail. You will definitely fail, and failure is part of this journey. You will have to accept that, whether on relationships, whether on the professional front as well, right? But the grit comes into work when you again lift your head up, and the next day you're back in your professional space where you are so passionately driven about solving some problems that the energy and motivation will come to you automatically. So through my journey then, I was fortunate to get exciting programs and challenges, and also a mentor who recognized that maybe I can do more beyond what I was doing. And so gave me, suddenly out of the blue, would you like to go as head of IT for a new company that they were putting together? I only knew the application world till then. I had no idea of the infrastructure space at all. But that's what he told me, that when I was given a job, and this is exactly something that you would have read every time, that when men are given a job, they don't look at it whether they are completely ready for it. Right? And this is exactly what my mentor at that time said. He wasn't ready for a job that was asked for him to do, but he still psyched himself up to be able to do it. And that's all that he told me. Of course, I had to spend a long hours to understand the space, own it, so that I could at least, even if I didn't understand all the technical details, be able to ask the right questions, to be able to solve the problems correctly, to be able to go back and commit to the senior leaders that whatever I have promised will be done. So my credibility and reliability and the trustworthiness was intact. Through this journey, did I think that I would be CIO one day? Did the dots connect? No. But like I said, I kept going on and learning and new technologies that were coming up in the DevOps space, etc. as well. And then one day, it did struck to me that if I did look up to something, and if I did look up to a role, what would it be? And then is when I sat down and I saw what could be my gaps. What are the areas that I need to learn more about, so that if I wanted to interview for that role at any point in time, I should be able to be successful. So that's when I made this conscious decision to kind of go to other teams, understand their space beyond my team. And that's something that I always encourage young people to do as well. Go beyond your team meetings, sit in the other team meetings to understand what is happening in their space. You'll be able to only then see the larger, bigger picture much better. You'll be able to solve problems. You'll be able to give views, opinions, ideas, suggestions, only when you understand the larger picture. And nobody's going to come and teach you that. You have to be part of either the all hands of the organization or meetings, like I said, of other teams, businesses, ask questions. You need to take that step. Only then would you be able to create a visible impact. And that's what I started doing, and I think that was a changing point in my career where my confidence around my passion improved and helped me to stand up as an expert to be able to influence the decisions that were needed to be taken for the organization. So I've been in the manufacturing space, again a space where we really don't have a large number of women on the shop floor or anywhere else either. And many of you would have read stories about even the washrooms really not being there for women because they never really expected women to be around in the office space or on the shop floor. So even if I wasn't on the shop floor, if I had to visit the shop floor for a meeting, I had no place to go, right? So from there onwards, of course, things have improved. I became the CIO and got some awards for that, and today I love mentoring youngsters. I love talking about my journey, and I am able to connect the dots for their own journey as well. But it wasn't this way earlier. And the points that I want to touch now is something that even in the previous panel discussion that you heard about, and somebody raised a question this morning, about the halo effect that women have, that women will not put in long hours. So do we really give them this project? Let's give her something which is less risky. She might not be able to deliver. She has to look after the household environment as well. Will she be able to do it? If you can, you must raise your hand at that time itself and say, yes, you will be able to do it. You do not have to have all the answers at that time of how you are going to be able to manage it. But if you've established the credibility to figure things out, they will let you take up that project or program or assignment that you need to, right? There are times when you need to prioritize the organization. There are times when you need to prioritize family. When you prioritize the organization, do it so well that they automatically allow you to prioritize family when that need comes up. It's not an if or then or kind of a situation. It's something that has to be integrated, and you have to work along with it together. The work and the family has to go together, right? It's how do you manage the time between the two, 2 hours here, maybe 3 hours there, 4 hours there. That's where even something like micromanaging your time to an extent that you are able to fiercely protect it and be able to plan your day completely. These are things that will help you. Now, the other aspect that, we've spoken about, women being in HR, women being in marketing. If you're a technologist, and if you're passionate about it, then stick to it, because you need to be the role models for many of the women to come up, right? We heard about somebody saying that I was surprised that somebody on the other side for a technical interview was a lady. We need more of those people. I have seen in my own career couple of cases where, the lady is getting married or the girl is getting married and she immediately says, oh, I have to leave my job. And I'm like, you're good at it. Why is there an assumption that you will have to leave your work? Because you've been good, the organization is willing to give you 6 months or even to a year of a sabbatical. Prove your skill, prove your domain, and the organization will work around to retain you, because talent is not easy either for the organization. I've seen situations where, for a child's medical condition, the mother wanted to leave her career. A brilliant engineer. I personally worked on her case and made sure she gets a sabbatical. She took 2 years, but she came back to the organization and is still committed to the organization. That's because she proved her skills earlier. You need to talk about your issues. You should not sit with the assumption that what is going to happen if I open my mouth and talk about my problems. Everybody has those problems. There are ways to figure it out. Your organizations are today mature enough to understand and give you some answers. So please do not speak or not share what's bothering you or what help you need. There are always, I'm sure you have town halls and meetings where you are asked, what help do you need from me? Or when the manager asks you, what help do you need from me? Use that opportunity to speak up and talk about what help you specifically need. Every story is different, right? Another interesting aspect of the technical world, again, being when engineer, like I said, the ladies just giving up on it or even get mentored more towards project management or program management. Now, I have nothing against that, and here I stand only to speak about the technologists and have no malice against any other profession or career that somebody has. But the fact that since there are number of people are less, you have studied that profession, you have skilled up in that space, you have many mechanisms, and I love the fact, okay, there are Bangalore traffic jams, but I have a lot of podcasts to listen into. I do my learning through podcasts and LinkedIn trainings, Udemy trainings as well. You can do that. It's how you manage your time over there, right? So please do not give up on this career, on this journey that you have kickstarted for yourself. You will create and again, you will find, and to another point that I probably want to make is, ladies are able to step back and see the bigger picture in terms of the real problem that you're able to solve. For the customer, or let's say even for internal organizations, right? Use that skill to be able to articulate your views in a meeting and keeping it simple. Extremely important. Jargons only make it complicated for the sake of complexity. You need to pare it down. It's as simple as putting a commonsensical logic to solving something, right? So please raise your hand to give your views and suggestions. For that, again, reading, podcasts, whatever it may be, your consumption, your style of consumption of knowledge and learning of knowledge, that's extremely important. And building your skill of problem solving to such an extent that it is an intrinsic part of your thought process. You're able to sense things better. You're able to perceive things better, right? So like you have these 10,000 hours of doing something, right? It makes you an expert at it. You would have all heard of the book Outliers and how people practice for that. It's the same thing for any kind of a DevOps, AI, ML, whatever tech stack or team that you are in. Your craft has to be perfect. Do not give up on that, right? When you do all of that, it will help you to raise your hand for any kind of project. Now, the other thing that I hear often is, I do not get impactful projects. I've been in that boat as well. And like I said, when I did not have something that was exciting for me, there are n number of problems to be solved in any organization. There are more problems, lesser budget, lesser number of people to solve those problems. raise your hand to solve that problem for your boss or for your manager. And that will be your opportunity to shine as well. Find those areas and raise your hand and say, I offer my services to be able to help in this space and solve this area of problem or issue that it may be in your organization. And that will then build the confidence in your leadership to give you that bigger project or assignment that you may be wanting, but have not got so far. Another small anecdote that I'd like to share. So again, this was around a big assignment, big project, program. I'd worked really hard for it, and it went live. And I just heard my superior casually say, but she never technically contributed to it. And that kind of upset me a little bit at that time. Of course, the level of getting upset right now is much lesser, but it is a part of growing up. And what I did at that time immediately is blocked his time and his team's time to explain the entire technical architecture of that solution without them really asking me for it. But I just set it up just as an information sharing meeting, right? And that is where then I was able to pull all of this together and convince them about how I had navigated that whole program or project and be able to apply my technical acumen to solve things. So these are ways to, again, beat the environment, bring the environment in your control, make it your story, then somebody else navigating it for you. And that's the way to be able to, again, stick to your guns and stick to your passion of being a technologist and growing in that space and being role models. The last point that I do want to talk about, and I'm glad to see so many of you are here, is these forums. You need an expert buddy as well. Like you have a best friend that you share stories with, have fun, emotional conversations, etc. You need a tech buddy as well to bounce off things to, right? And these are good forums where you build those relationships outside of your organization. Because whatever one may say, you are under a certain bias within the organization space. Your behavior gets kind of somehow biased within that environment. And hence, when you are in this environment, you will notice yourself to be sometimes even more confident when you're interacting with a stranger. Build that network. Go to these forums online. And today's day and world, everything it's not that you have to be physically present anywhere all the time. The online world has made it so much easier for us. So reach out, network. Again, it's not network for the sake of networking. The networking is for the sake of your learning and building your network that will help you grow. And you have to do that. Like you plan your house, like you plan your child's education, which school is better, which school is not. You spend so much time, you figure all that out. Nobody taught you how to be a mother, nobody taught you how to be a wife. You learned it. You have to put in that amount of effort into your career as well. And things will work for you. With that, I'd like to close my talk. Thank you, everyone.